Yeah. Okay. Call the meeting to order. You join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you didn't sign in, please do so there at the corner of the room. I guess we're gonna lead off with the physical officer first.
Yeah. July bank reconcile is up there to sign. Appropriation status ledger and the cash summary reports was emailed out and is online. Approve the warrants and vouchers from in the payment listing report, starting with warrant number 14044 through warrant number 14061, voucher number 194-2025. Total amount $14,746.59.
So move.
Second, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Anything else for you?
No, sir.
Okay. We're gonna move into our trustee business. On the items we have, we're gonna ask that if there's anybody making comments at the end, limit their comments to 3 minutes, and please come up to the podium and give their name and address. I want to lead off with Holly. Update.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give you a quick update on where we are with the strategic plan. The first thing I want to lead off with is that the biggest thing we heard at the last trustee meeting was the concern about the mixed use being expanded, especially to the west of Harlem Road. We have talked through that with the steering committee, and we are moving that line back to Harlem Road. So that will no longer be at the west of Harlem Road, will no longer be in the mixed use area. Now, the mixed use area still extends up to the north further than what the current overlay does. We're still working through that, still having conversations with the steering committee, still talking with economic development, and potentially what landowners are desiring through that area north of Fancher, but east of Harlem Road. So we will continue those conversations. I did put together a series of slides. I'm not sharing those with you tonight, but I have been sharing them with the steering committee. And it lists every comment that we've received to date on the strategic plan, starting with the most complex, going all the way down to the easiest typos. And we made it through the first couple of slides at our last steering committee meeting, which was last week. Felt like we made significant progress on it. One of the other big comments that has come out of this was there still is a disconnect from what folks are seeing out their window today versus what is being planned for 15, 20 years down the road. So we put together a summary of that change in landscape and why it's important that we plan for the future. Emailed that to the steering committee today, as well as to the board. So you all have that for your review and feedback on that. We continue to work on the sewers. We had a meeting on Monday with the sewer district. It sounds like the line that is number 6, the one that got added at the end, is the one that they would like to go with, which is the one coming up Harlem Road, stopping at Yeager's south west corner of his property, and then going east. Sounds like they are going to possibly look at just extending it to Miller Paul at this point in time, not all the way to 605, but they're studying the cost and all the different analysis to that. So there's more to come on how exactly that would go. When we met with the steering committee, We talked about how, revenue generating uses in and around that sewer could help offset the cost for it, as well as provide general revenue to the township when you partner that with an economic development agreement with the city of Columbus. So continuing education on that and understanding those potential partnerships and revenue generations for the township. You know that we have a meeting on September 4th. Make sure the crowd knows there's a special meeting on September 4th with the trustees to continue our conversation on the strategic plan in a more in-depth than what I'm giving tonight. This is just very high level tonight. And then on September 18th, we're going to be meeting again with the steering committee to continue our analysis or their comments that we've received to date. So starting to wrap everything up as far as comments and how to address those. I think the biggest thing is just understanding where we're going with that, with the land uses. And that conversation is continuing. I don't have an answer for that other than we're not going west of Harlem Road with the mixed use. So with that, do you have any questions?
Just to clarify, so I think the point would be to update that overlay in the southwest corner in the draft and bring that for conversation first week of September.
Yep, that's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
Can you comment on where we are with the economic development plan? How you anticipate wrapping that into the overall plan? And then kind of the process that unfolds after that piece gets included, kind of up to where ultimately the trustees look at it, the public gets to review it, and it becomes a document.
Yeah, so we've met with Dana and his team from the county regarding the economic development piece. They are continuing to work on it. I'm hoping that they will have their part to me in the next 3 or so weeks. And then we'll incorporate that in to the document. It does sound like we have some stuff in our document, like different economic development tools that they'd like to pull out of our portion of the document and put into their portion. And then the steering committee had some ideas of what to fill in our portion with, as far as just giving a little more general background of how townships operate and like what their, limited powers are, just so people understand that. So that's that. So about 3 weeks or so, hopefully have the economic development part incorporated in. Again, that's dependent on when we get that from them. And then I would like to have a full second draft to everyone shortly after that September 18th steering committee meeting. I would like to talk to you guys about having a public meeting to talk about the land uses. I think we need feedback from the community on the land use map. So I think that at some point over the next several weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, we need to have some kind of public meeting where we have some interaction with the public on that directly. And then after that, if we get through that process and the second draft, if it looks good, then we could start the adoption process. If it looks good, but if not, I keep telling the steering committee, we need to work through this stuff. So if there's still stuff after the second draft, we'll look at it.
Morpsey sent out this week a proposal for a number of a broad area in Central Ohio that they're offering comprehensive planning services to a singular community. So you can submit an application and compete for this.
Correct.
This is from a December 25 to a May of 26 timeframe. Do you think that Harlem Township ought to consider submitting an application for that?
I'm not sure what they would do above and beyond what we have done. The work that they are looking at would mirror the stuff that we are doing for you right now. It would not, in my opinion, be the next level.
Not enough different or not enough different flavor to consider that. Okay.
You're gonna need a design firm for the next phased.
Thank you.
And speaking of that, as we go through the last iteration, once we pull everything together and we get all the feedback from you and the steering committee is when we'll send that.
Any questions or comments? Yes,
So you mentioned about west of Harlem. Does that basically mean that the PRCD zoning is back to the way it was originally?
Do you want him to state his name?
Yeah.
yes, please.
Going up to the mic. So there are people online, et cetera, that,
Sure. Yeah.
thank you.
So Munsell Randall. I live on Covan Drive.
Thank you. So to answer your question, the future land use map is different than the adopted zoning. So future land use map is aspiration of what you want to be in the future as a township. And then anything that's in that future land use plan would have to come through to actually be adopted as zoning. So the zoning you have today still exists, even if something changed on that future land use map. But having said that, on the future land use map, we are taking Covan Drive out of that mixed use area.
How about what's the 2,000-foot thing?
So everything on the east side of Harlem, we are still looking at how far north we want to go with business uses. So I don't have an answer for the east side of Harlem tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to come up?
This is my first time at this meeting and I'm really having trouble hearing. Is there any way that people can either use the mic or speak up louder?
I will
Thank you.
speak up louder.
Thank you.
I think the mics only go into the Zoom. Yeah. Okay.
Space the crowd because these guys
Yeah.
already know what you're talking.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So I didn't hear exactly what your answer was, but I take it that the area that we've all shown up here for, we're all concerned about is taken off the books.
That has been taken off.
That has
Yes.
been taken off.
Yes, correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you to the trustees.
Can you explain that? Taking off the books means what?
Oh,
What
well,
does that mean?
so it was only a draft, so I wouldn't even say taken off the books. It was a draft showing the mixed use overlay area extending to the west of Harlem Road. And we heard a lot of feedback at the last meeting that that was concern, and we have pushed that back so that you no longer would have that mixed use overlay over Covan Drive.
So just to be clear, you're talking about the section between Red Bank and.
Correct, yes, correct.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Bruce Harris, Coven Drive. So the Coven Drive properties come out of the mixed use concept.
Correct.
The property north,
Is coming out of the mixed use concept.
thank you
Yep.
very much.
Anything else before we move on? Yes, sir.
More clear, Chris Comfort, Coven Drive. What is it currently? What is it zoned for currently?
So, Covan Drive, I will ask the zoning inspector what the current zoning is.
It's just your basic regular zoning of 2,000 or one house per 2 acres is the lowest number you can go.
And then it does have the
And it does.
CRCD
Yes.
over it, which is a clustered residential overlay that's over it right now.
Which is 3.
Well,
Which is 3 per acre, but they gotta have 25 acres or more.
Right.
Correct.
And they can't do that with sewer.
No.
It's-
right.
And
Anything else before we move on?
North of Covan that we're now off the books.
Same thing.
Same
as-
thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
One house per 2 acres or 3?
2.
2 acres.
Okay.
The 3 per acre over.
Correct.
Yes, with the 3 per acre overlay, which requires a sewer to do that. And it's gotta go through a lot of planning and go through our zoning commission, right? So.
Can you explain what a 3 per acre over?
I think we're approaching scope creep on the agenda of the meeting.
So, an overlay district is a, optional zoning district that the township can approve. Adopt that creates design standards for a certain type of residential, any type of uses that you want. In this particular case, it's residential that you're talking about. And it allows, this particular one allows up to 3 dwelling units per acre on net developable acres is where that current text reads. So if, they have 100 net developable acres, they could get 300 homes on that. But it has to have, as Mike mentioned, it would have to have a minimum of 25 acres in order to even utilize this overlay district. And it would have to have sewer to support that. So nobody can really utilize that overlay district at this point in time. It would be later on down the road for planning purposes. And just one more thing on overlay districts, they hover over the existing zoning district. So when Mike says that it's 1 per 2 acres right now, that is the current underlying zoning with this overlay on top. So if sewer came along and somebody wanted to use the overlay, they would have to pull down the cloud by submitting a development plan to the township and get approval.
And is that also a public meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's also
Thank you.
cluster development.
Yes, it's also, thank you,
Those-
50% open space to that.
Yes, those overlays, if somebody would enact that 3 per acre, you still got buffer, and the requirement is a buffer of anything natural like ponds and trees and everything would be around that, and they could get that cluster development, but it would be inside of that 25 acres. So if you drove down Harlem Road, one of those was on Harlem Road, you wouldn't drive down and see a bunch of houses to your right.
Have you ever,
200-foot buffer.
have you ever driven on Clark State Road? Outside of Gahanna? It's between Gahanna and New Albany. When you drive on it, you think you're out in a different place. You're not even in Columbus. And it's the same concept. They've preserved the tree rows and then the houses are clustered behind it.
Okay. Like to move on with the agenda. We had sewer update. Do you have anything more, John?
Holly presented the fact that they have chosen option number 6, going to the Jaeger property and then east. One point I wanted to make is that the folks in Delaware County are committed to a public meeting at some point in the future to communicate this process. And so our residents should be aware that and be on the lookout for that meeting being publicized at some point in the future so they can become intimately aware of how that plan will be adopted. In addition, this is micro tunneling. So this is not an open cut sewer. You're not going to see all your roads torn up, etc. It will have minimal impact on the topography and on our normal way of life while it's being constructed. That's all.
Hey, John, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
And I just want everybody to know, my name is Mike Cannon. I'm the zoning director. I know it's hard to hear in here, and I know there's a lot of information being thrown at you. So if you have something that you think of that you want to ask a question about, or you don't really understand it, feel free to call me. I mean, you can call me. We can have a 20-minute conversation on the phone, whatever it takes. So don't be afraid to call me, and we can review whatever you want. So if you got questions, maybe you don't want to ask them, maybe you can't hear, just give me a call. My number is right there on the website. It's 740-965-2661 extension 2. Okay, and I'll answer whatever question. I want you guys to know what's going on and what your zoning is about. All right?
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Steve,
wanna talk
Steve
about-
passes.
Steve?
One quick question on
Yeah.
the sewer. Steve Eisenbrown, Harlem Road. So when we see the fact that they're leaning on whatever, Plan 6, does that mean they've also done the economic study on that? Or we will be able to see the financials that will impact both the, at least estimates of what potentially impacts the county and the township?
That's something they're working on currently. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with New Albany that may have some bearing on those decisions that have to be made. So that is a point of discussion right now.
Yeah.
And I would guess that we'll have greater clarity on that in the next month or two.
it would seem we'd need to have some of the, at least the boundary conditions dollars wise on this project before we have a public meeting. It seems that would be a pretty important element to keep the thing moving forward.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
And would you concur with that, Holly?
100% concur with what you said.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Want to talk about branding?
Yes, one of the things that we think is important and that came out of our strategic planning discussion is the need for the township to work on branding. That is that we are able to have a cultural identity for the township that is present in our aesthetics, whether that's our signage, and some elements of design, on social media, etc. That when people come into Harlem Township, that they know they're entering Harlem Township, and there's an identity that when they see us online, etc., there's a consistent theme that captures a lot of the ideas that we've been talking about for the last several months. And so we asked Cryle Communications, and if you recall, Cryle helped us with the strategic planning process. And Angela Cryle, who is from a township and lives on a farm, really is able to, I think, identify with us very well. And she put together a proposal. And if you remember, we thought, well, this is going to cost us tens of thousands of dollars. And her proposal came to $7,500. And it included getting feedback from the community and a very deliberative process. And so I'm personally very pleased with that as a proposal. However, there are some financial hoops that we need to go through with the fiscal officer before we vote on a resolution in this regard. So that needs to happen over the next month. So I imagine that we'll vote on this next month after we've fulfilled those obligations, but did want to provide an opportunity for the other trustees to weigh in on this and for the public to do so as well.
Yeah, I guess as I've looked at it and knowing that Ashley and Lindsay are going to be working with our web people next year for a redo, I'd like to see the redo of our website coincide with the branding, if that's what we do. So I don't know how that conversation needs to be with Cryle to see.
Yeah, I think the coordination, like the
Right.
the Gantt chart's got to line up on that, because if we have new color chart, if we have new logo, if we have new imagery and all that, it needs to go into the website, right? Because next year what we're looking at is complete overhaul of the website.
Mhm.
This year we're just going to tune it up and make things work a little bit better, get rid of some of the extra stages that don't need to be there. I think from my point of view is really just really understanding kind of what that scope of work is, John. So like, I don't know, Holly, if Angela already has something put together on that, like what would be included in that. But I think, and I know you kind of sent some information
Yeah.
across. And so I think it'd just be good to really kind of go through that of like, here's what it's going to be. Here's how we're going to go through it. Rather than just the $7,500 for rebranding, right? Like I like the line by line stuff when it comes to that big kind of imagery change. But that, I mean, other than that, I mean, I think it's necessary. It's part of what we need to do. We're overdue for a refresh on that.
Holly, what do you think Angela's response would be to the, hey, we've got to redo our website in the next year and we want to do branding. How do we coordinate those things?
I would think her response would be that the branding would need to come first so that you have the design, the color, the what you are going to push forward. And then those can be utilized to integrate into the website design. I think the website design is a total separate project that just needs to be coordinated.
Okay. Right. Anything else on that subject?
No, sir.
Okay, Delaware Foundation. Did you learn anything?
Only that we need to, as a board, pass a resolution that says we want to establish an account with them.
Okay, well, we got that on later on here on the
We
agenda.
do. Yes.
Okay,
Um,
internship.
yeah, so I had a young man reach out from Genoa Township. His name is Jacob O'D. He is a junior at the University, at Miami University, in Oxford, Ohio. And as a requirement for his degree, he is required to do an internship. And he expressed an interest to do an internship with the township. He's looking at the winter time frame, working for about 70 hours. And his focus is on social media, website, etc., both Facebook, Instagram. And he had actually gone through our website and he looked at current strengths, areas to improve, and then a proposed action plan. So I reached out to Lindsay on the communications committee and I said, hey, do we have enough work for a guy to spend 70 hours over his winter break doing this? And she came up with a scope of work and felt that we could manage to keep him busy for that time frame. I was impressed. He asked all the right questions and was very proactive. And so I'd like us to consider doing this. Again, there's some financial obligations we've got to jump through, and so we can think about it until next month and then make a proposal. If he works 70 hours for $15 an hour, that's $1,050.
Right.
To the township, which doesn't seem unreasonable.
Okay,
I have his resume and his recommendations for
Okay.
both of you guys.
all right.
I think this would be the first opportunity that the township has to actually have an intern, and hopefully be the first of many.
Well, it's timely too, because I know we've been talking a lot about this refresh of the website.
Right.
Communications committee especially has been spending quite a bit of time going through what that'll look like. Am I right? I mean, you've been a part of that too. Okay.
And John and I discussed, instead of as an employee, since it's only 70 hours, to do a contract as a vendor.
And then the last thing that I have for this evening is wanted to express my appreciation to the board for sending me to the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning course on economic development. Steve Iverson Brown is also attending these classes. We were able to go to our first one a couple of weeks ago, which was basically a broad introduction to economic planning. And the city director from Upper Arlington, Dana McDaniel from Delaware County, and then a guy from, it was Morrow or Knox County? Knox County, Ohio, all did presentations, and we worked on an exercise. Interestingly, we worked on an exercise. All the township people were kind of sitting at one table, and the exercise had a development firm coming to us and asking if we would be interested in their development coming to our township. And there were several ramifications of this, and we resoundingly said no. And the interest, there was another table that was all fairy tales and Goldilocks. Couldn't wait for these folks to come in, and so we were kind of the spoilers. But it's a great learning experience, and it's a good networking opportunity. And then to learn from people that have already been down these roads, I think is very important. So there will be 5 more classes between now and December that I think will be very helpful.
Good.
So just thank you very much.
Sounds good. Adam?
Yeah, just a couple of things to for updates. So it's been a couple of months since we really talked about limited home rule. So I don't have much material update, but did want to just continue to keep that fire burning a little bit. And the quick recap, just since it has been a while since we talked about it. Going into it, there's essentially 2 things that could have the potential to cost the township any additional money. That is the statutory requirement to appoint a law director and the statutory requirement to provide police protection. And so in the conversations that we've had, we were entertaining a lot of different options for that, and it can be that the township does not need to establish a police department. The township does not absolutely have to hire someone for this. We can contract with county offices to be able to provide these services. There is testament and example of this in Franklin County in multiple townships that are currently under limited home rule, working with Franklin County offices for these purposes. And so working with Holly, working with Pete and a couple of other people, we're doing the due diligence trying to find some of this information. And started to kind of run into, I don't know if I would call it resistance, but a little bit more questions, because home rule is just uncharted territory for townships in Delaware County. And so, with the help of Bob Singer, we actually met with Melissa, at the prosecutor's office on July 31st, and had a great conversation with the prosecutor. I think Harlem is really starting to work on building a strong relationship with county services, as I think we should. We're part of Delaware County, so I think those olive branches back and forth are important. And so we discussed with Melissa what she thought what her office would need in additional compensation to be the legal representation for a limited home rule township. And our question was basically, because what we have been advised is limited home rule does not change the daily operations of a township. Limited home rule gives you the ability to pull down that power in a certain situation if it's necessary. There's stipulations that come along with that, such as, home rule decisions would require 3 readings, they'd be open to referendum, so on and so forth. Lots of checks and balances with that. But other than that, it doesn't change anything for Harlem Township or any other township that achieves limited home rule. And so the question essentially was, why does it cost money to do the same thing currently? And I appreciated a very frank response that this is a new section of law that folks will have to learn and research, right? And so there's time and there's labor and there is, education involved in that. The cost that the prosecutor's office is entertaining at this moment is not astronomical. I mean, I think we're talking $15,000 a year. And, if you spread that out amongst a calendar year and the legal representation that would come along with such, I think that that's a pretty good deal, especially since that ability would give us the opportunity to recoup some of it on our own through things such as civil penalties, things like that. So that doesn't seem like an astronomical amount to me. Now, that being said, it's just one leg. We still need to determine how we're going to provide police protection. The sheriff's office is obviously where we are focusing those conversations right now, and I don't have an update on that. But we are working with, communicating with the sheriff's office, determining what that looks like and how we can move forward. And at some point too, we'll be talking to Doug and team just to make sure the engineer's good with it. That's not statutory. It's that nothing changes with the engineer as part of the Ohio Revised Code, but we'll put that on paper, Doug, just to make us have warm and fuzzies, as long as you're good with it. Any questions on that? The only other line item I added to the agenda, pretty small potatoes, since I think 2023, Dave, maybe earlier than that, every trustee meeting and most of the zoning meetings, Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, but they have all been broadcast on Zoom. Zoom has been the platform utilized for the streaming of these meetings. And looking at best practices of most of, if not all of our neighboring municipalities, there's a better way to do that. We've been riddled with issues with Zoom. There's been multiple logins, especially in a room like this, where any of you that were here at the special meeting last month know that I love a full room. But in a full room, I don't know that it would be very practical for someone on Zoom to chime in and participate in the meeting. So what I'm proposing is putting a little bit more research into switching from a Zoom live stream over to a YouTube live stream, which is what almost all of our neighboring municipalities do, including my church, right? So I think that's probably the way to move forward with it. I have already started some conversation with Dana McDaniel. There would be a minimal hardware investment, something to kind of control that, because another thing is, we have multiple cameras in this room that we don't utilize.
Right.
And I think folks, especially that watch these videos after the fact, would love to see, folks that are at the podium that are presenting rather than just hearing their voice in most cases. And so, there'd be I think there is a software investment I would have to make, but it is a free software program, so it's not much of an investment.
Carol have to get involved with this.
So that was my last communication to Carol. I haven't heard back from him yet, because I would hope what I would like to see is a bid from Carol to say, I can just come in, install all this, get it done for you, and then train Ashley on how to start the meetings. But then that way it would make it much simpler for everyone that comes in here that has a public meeting, all the way from the board of trustees to the steering committee, to be able to just click the button, turn it on, and then it will be recorded for folks to view after the meeting.
Can I put a little in on that too?
Of course.
I agree that I think YouTube would be a great option. We have had issues with Zoom. We do have 2 Zoom accounts, so you're talking about possibly putting a little bit of finance into getting the YouTube up and going and things like that, but we would be able to get rid of Zoom, which I don't know what we're paying. Lisa, do you know?
I'd have to look it up,
What we're paying. But I mean, even if
because it's only once a year I pay it.
if that once a year equals to $20 a month or a couple $100 a year, that's a couple $100 a year that go towards paying that fee to get the YouTube up and running. And also the process of getting, we have the Zoom, it records overnight. If you touch the computer at all or breathe on it too hard, it won't record, and then we don't have the video. Then I come in, take it from Zoom to YouTube. YouTube takes about 2 hours to download, so I get calls in the morning, hey, I want to watch this video. Well, give me 2 hours. Sure. And then I take it from YouTube onto the website. So it'd be nice to have it on YouTube, because then it's essentially in real time and it downloads instantly.
So Zoom, we paid for a year, $149.90.
Yeah, the hardware that we would need would be probably a one-time investment of that same dollar amount, and then whatever Carol might charge us for the setup just to get that going, which in Carol's experience, like our experience with Carol, that's pretty reasonable. But I'll find out what that is and bring that back to the next meeting, hopefully.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Steve Eisenbrand, Harlan Road. Are you thinking that we don't need interaction with the remote audience then? YouTube can certainly do a good job of just streaming what's going on in the room, and we could have both cameras going and they could be different vantage points, and probably even get a better microphone setup in here, to be more omnidirectional. But my experience is it does not allow someone to ask a live question.
That's correct. So that would be kind of the downside in this situation. Now, YouTube does have live streaming capability to have a live chat going, right? So there could be a potential to have that functionality still in chat form. And so we could bring that up. And I do feel like this might be the one drawback to it.
I do too. Yeah.
To be frank, like my personal opinion, sitting in this chair, having many meetings where we struggle to share something on the screen. We struggle to present the right material. We struggle to get the thing right. It just doesn't seem like a professional municipality should operate a meeting. That's kind of been my rub with it. And so I would not be so bold as to say we do not need or want the participation. I think we're probably just going to get to a point where it's not feasible to have it remotely. I think the participation will probably have to be live and present in the room, since we have moved past COVID. If we got questions, if we got participation, we need to come fill the room up and ask them. And we really want those questions.
Yeah, because we could request them to bring them in by chat, and that can work. That means that either somebody who's running the meeting or if Ashley is there has to monitor for the chat questions and, read them out and then get a response.
Yep.
We don't have that much audio interaction with remote participants typically. I think we do at some of the smaller get-togethers like the BZA meeting, maybe the zoning meeting. We have more of that, but we don't see as much of that at the trustees.
Sure.
I just think we ought to understand what we're saying to ourselves about what the availability of that interaction can be going down the road.
Yeah, and that's why I'm taking notes from the other municipalities around us. We're not to the point where we're a city and we can have our own, essentially an intranet, our own, database and all of this. But there are quite a few of them out there that are streaming it on YouTube and going through that point of view.
Well, that's easy. That part's easy.
And I'll say too, the public participation on the Zoom meetings has not been the issue. For me, it has been the platform. because like I mentioned just a minute ago, the issues with sharing something to the screens, the issues with, Holly's had multiple issues of, oh, it won't let me
A
share.
bunch of people in this room would be able to
Steve
do that.
Eisenbrown,
more successful.
the Zoom czar
Oh,
of Harlem Township.
I
does
never
a great
voted for that job. No,
helping.
sirree.
You were appointed to it involuntarily.
You can run, but you can't hide.
So I'll bring more information to that.
That's all I ask, is we have that discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You guys.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Adam, when you get the final numbers,
Move on.
cost of doing this, can you just email it to me so I can
For sure.
double check and make sure? it's
I'll let you know the number
doable?
before I bring it to a meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, we'll move on. We have a resolution to approve the establishing an account with the Delaware Foundation.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Jackson,
Aye.
Holiday,
Aye.
Aye.
Who's gonna set up this account?
I'll reach out to them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next one is a cryo. We're gonna put that one on hold, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I have a resolution to approve Steve Eisenbrown for OTA membership access. We would be allowing for OTA training access for Steve at a cost not to exceed $50 a year.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Now we have resolution to approve speed limit change for Green Cook. This is the southern portion from Fancher down to Franklin County. It's resolution 25-0820T005. And it's improving speed limit revision of the Green Cook Road, Township 29 between Fancher and Franklin County line. This changes the speed limit to 45 mile an hour from 55.
Dave, did the county do a speed study on this, or are they just taking our requests and
We
implementing changes?
sent the study to the county and a request for engineering for a study. And Doug, am I correct? Does ODOT perform this, or do you perform it at ODOT standards?
We do the Doug Riedel Township Liaison with the County Engineer's Office. Our office does the speed study, and then Adam, we send it into ODOT to see if they're acceptable of what we think a reasonable speed limit would be. And they come back and say 45 seems reasonable, send it on to the trustees for resolution. Then your resolution goes to ODOT for final approval.
So is this, was there a situation where we had folks setting high scores on speeds on this current road? Because I remember our neighbors in Galena talking about certain sections of their road right through town, people were hitting 70 miles an hour, and that's why they put speed tables in. And so I'm just curious, if our study had that same data came back, or we've determined that this is a smaller road, it justifies the lesser speed limit.
I don't have we have some folks in our office that do the speed studies. I didn't do it personally, so
Sure.
I don't know if there were outlying speeds that are really high.
Just curiosity on my part, really.
Out of the normal,
Well,
but based on the ODOT standards, 45 was a speed limit that came back as being reasonable for that stretch of road.
and this would be consistent for Franklin County portion. It's 45 also. Oh. I would move the resolution to ask for a second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Jackson,
Aye.
Holiday,
Aye.
Trainer.
Aye.
Okay. Now we have, we've had another request to do another speed study on Lewis Road. So we got resolution 25-820T006 to approve sending a request to the county engineer for Lewis Road speed study.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Administrative,
Yes. Approval for trustee minutes for July 16th, 2025 regular trustee meeting minutes and July 29th, 2025 special trustee meeting minutes.
So moved.
second, All those, excuse me, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Now, next motion.
And then the update on the phone installation, it has been a nightmare. Literal nightmare. At this point, Spectrum is just not returning my calls at this point. I think I'm on their blacklist. Because I now can't even get a call from literally anyone. I'm leaving messages. So Corey is gonna be getting involved now, since they are not responding. Essentially, I had through this whole process, they realized that we needed the building rewired. They realized that about 5 months ago. We have had them come out 3 different times. 2 times they've got up into the ceilings, taken photos, and said, you need a rewire. We said, well, we already knew that and already told you that. And you said no. So then they said, well, to keep your business, we will rewire your business or the building at no cost. Awesome. Love that. So then about 2 months later, I had made multiple calls, still no response about the rewiring. And I said, hey, what's going on? And they said, well, we didn't like the price. So we're going to send somebody else out. That guy came out, didn't even know why he was here. I said, well, you're here to look at the wiring. And then he was like, well, they already did. So I'll just send the same thing in. A couple weeks later, still no response. Then I was told that they were not sure about the wiring and that they were having other people look at it. And I said, I would like to see what a cancellation of this contract would be, because at this point you guys have us almost 7 months out. And the communication is bad. So why would we think your service would be any better? So those are the kind of conversations I've had. They started out very kind and now they've gotten to the point where now they won't answer my calls. So.
They billed us for 2 months.
And they billed us for 2 months. After the first time, Lisa said, hey, we got billed. I called and said, hey, you billed us for something that we don't have. And they said, well, we can't turn off the billing. But once your service starts, we'll just use that. And I said, absolutely not. Turn off the billing. You can't. Don't act like I'm not stupid. Turn the billing off. Quit sending us bills. Which probably put another ding in the don't call this girl back. So they sent a second bill, and when I called for that, I got a voicemail and left a message about the second bill, and it's been a week and nobody will call me. So I've called upper management and then they keep having lower management call me. And I got an email saying that they're sorry for the hiccups in our setup and the slight delays in our installation. And my response was, these are not hiccups. This is embarrassing for you. And slight is not 7 months. So Corey's going to get involved because now they don't like me. And that's okay. So now we're looking into other sources for our phone service. We'll have our IT guy. He owns Buckeye Cloud. So that is something that we looked into. Before the meeting started, Lisa and I were actually discussing continuing to look for prices, since we do still have a service that we are paying for. And we kind of have the time, since Spectrum is lengthening out our possible contract cancellation. So she talked to another township about their costs, and it was significantly lower than what we were quoted from Buckeye Cloud. And I think we're going to check with a couple more townships and see what they're doing, what they like, things like that. So it's something that she thought about, and I was like, I didn't really think about that. So I think that's a great choice.
How does the Buckeye Cloud quote compare to what we were going to pay with Spectrum?
He was going to do the installation for the same price, the 1,800, and then we would get to essentially pick the phones that we wanted. So we would be purchasing those instead of renting them like we do with most phone services. And that buying of them would essentially go into our monthly. But it was going to be $200 less a month than what Spectrum quoted.
Okay, so we were going to save money with moving to Buckeye anyway.
100%.
But what you heard is that somebody else is cheaper than Buckeye.
Yes.
And so we're going to just see what else is out there.
At a different township, and they had a much lower quote. So we're going to look at a few other ones.
So what we're thinking is go to different trustees, townships. They've already done the homework. They know how the phone systems are, if they're a good company, if they're a bad company. they have the cost and everything.
Okay,
So it's just a simple phone call.
so I guess are we not voting on this resolution tonight?
Okay, so we're not, all
We're
right.
gonna wait until, I will be continuing to work very hard so that we can get this to you by next month, so that we can have fun.
In the meantime, anybody in the township who gets one of those telemarketed calls from Spectrum asking you who your current wireless provider is, tell them to call Ashley.
Say, well, actually, I'm not the person that works on that phone system, but actually Zarina does. Here's her number.
He would like to talk to you.
I would speak to them. It would be great.
Okay,
And then I did want to tell you guys, I forgot to put on here, that Lindsay and I have been working every Tuesday. She's been coming in for an hour. And we have been cleaning up the website. It, on the backside of things, thank goodness for her, because that is not my expertise, is the backside of websites and things. I can make them look pretty on the front, but the back end is not my thing. So we have worked, for an hour every Tuesday for the past 3 weeks. And we've cleaned up a lot. There were a lot of links that went to multiple places, some that didn't go anywhere. I know the parks, had things on 4 different pages. And 2 of them we couldn't even find unless we were like in the back door of things. So we've cleaned up a lot. We're going literally page to page to page and making them look nicer, making sure they're linking to the correct location.
Quick plug for the communications committee, just since there's so many people in the room, there's a few folks in here that are part of that. That committee meets, I think, first Tuesday of every month in this room and second Tuesday of every month, and they're looking for people and they need an assistant chair. And so hugely instrumental in the increased transparency of the township over the last year or so. So very important if anybody's looking to get involved. Lots of information flows through that group.
Okay.
Ashley, you got a resolution for the Sims conference?
I'm asking for approval for me to go to the 2025 Sims conference. For those who do not know, Sims is our cemetery system that helps us map our cemeteries, our burials, sell deeds to cemetery plots. And it keeps everything nice and organized. They have a group user conference every 2 years. Kendra had gone to in the past and she said it was great to get some information across and to learn some new things about the system and ways to use it. One thing that was approved was to have a public side of Sims. It was something that Mr. Trainer had brought up and was approved. We have not done that yet. Because I was anticipating going to the conference and there's going to be some question and answer, one-on-one interaction with trainers there. So I thought that it would be a good time for me to say, hey, this is something we're going to be doing, but kind of wait to put it into action so that I'm not, kind of tripping through the website. So I would really like to go to this for training. And Chief and I have both looked at cost for transportation and stay and the conference itself. I don't think it's gonna be 1,500, but if we're looking at right around 1,000 flights are really kind of what's gonna be the deciding factor.
This is in Madison.
So I'll fly into Madison, but it's in the Dells.
Copy.
Yeah.
Right, you just have to bring back some spotted cow.
So my mom and dad actually brought some back when they went to Wisconsin and said it's amazing.
So I will so move.
Second.
As long as I bring back this one.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank
Okay,
you.
anything else for you?
Nothing else for me.
I did talk to Jason this afternoon and we talked about the cemetery a little bit, and so I guess part of the other goal is to get the balance of Barnhart mapped, the back portion of that. So you might want to ask them about that.
Yep.
And you mentioned on the public. And at some point, we've got the additional land that John Nyberger gave us about a ton. We should probably get that plotted out too.
To add to that, I think Genoa is looking at Sims as well. I don't know if you were aware of that, Lisa. But
haven't talked.
when you get up there, maybe talk, I wonder if they have some kind of way, if they're gonna have a public viewpoint where people can go in, especially if there's neighboring municipalities, and just be able to see like this huge database of plots, dates, names, things like that. I think that would be pretty cool since I don't know if anybody else close to us is on some.
Cemetery to cemetery.
Right. I just think that would be neat, especially with 250 coming up, Dave.
Yep.
That might be cool.
Okay. Fire.
Good evening. Really not a lot on our agenda tonight. We just have requests to rehire 2 individuals. One has been away from the department for a few years, but he's a firefighter paramedic and reached out to us and was interested in coming back. So having a firefighter paramedic will be a benefit to us. That would be Jason Klaus. He's still currently working a full-time job at Whitehall, but will definitely be an asset coming back to the department. We heard nothing but good things about him from members that were here and worked with him before.
A motion for that.
Move to approve the rehire part-time firefighter paramedic Jason Klaus at $19.35 per hour.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And the second one be your rehire for part-time firefighter EMT Matt Gray. Matt left us about a year ago. And we instituted a policy that when people left and were going to a different full-time job, that we wouldn't have them continue to work because we didn't want them getting injured here at a part-time job, affecting them while they were on probation at a new full-time job. He's completed his probation, and he's interested in still coming back as a part-time employee, and investing his time and efforts here at Harlem Township also.
Make a motion to approve the rehire firefighter EMT Matthew Gray at 18 an hour.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Yeah,
All we have. Do you have anything else for the fire department?
I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, Jason had another obligation tonight. I'll kind of go through what he's got. Emergency tile repair at 14439 Robbins Road was a 12-inch clay, and he got that fixed. Had another one on Center Village Road, an 8-inch. It was $10,394. They're continuing the road mowing. The tractor was down for one day with the EGR valve problem. Got that solved. Duncan Run's been repaved. Will not be chipped. They evaluated it with the John from the county and decided to hold off on that, maybe do a rejuvenation next summer. Robbins Road east of Green Cook's been tarred and chipped and fogged. Culvert reviews with Delaware County for 2 for Green Cook and 1 for Needles. I do not have that information. Do you have that, Doug? The cost?
I
With-
do, yes.
Uh,
I mean, these are budgetary costs.
right.
The 2 on Green Cook were $15,000,
Okay.
and then the one on Needles was $25,000.
Okay.
Those are budget numbers. We would not get you an estimate until first quarter next year, and then we know, what the pipe costs are and so forth.
Right. Okay, thank you. Cemetery, they've had 2 burials the last month. He's looking into drainage issues at the Barnhart and Maple Grove. The park, they've moved and reset the erosion mat around the basket swing. Installed a new sign for pollinator garden, working with park committee on installing some more waste receptacles and dog waste stations. Continuing to make improvements to the old concrete plant, remove debris and add soil, removing old structures from the site. And he's got 2 things on here. I guess, Lisa, he spoke with you on the money part of it on the.
Yeah,
generator.
we're all set to go with Jason.
Great.
I got all the paperwork I needed. So he asked if we
I
had
think
the
he said,
funds.
did he send you the PO or not? I think that's to come yet.
No, I've got to do the PO, but
Okay.
don't sign the contract yet
Okay,
because I'm waiting on a W-9. He's waiting on a W-9 from them.
okay,
Then I can create the PO, then we can sign the contract. And then we'll be all set for them to do the work.
Okay. So the resolution is to approve purchase of generator from Mid-Ohio Generators. Purchase for replacement of standby generator from Mid-Ohio at the cost of $13,000 with an annual contract for preventive maintenance at a cost of $300 a year for 3 years.
Did he have to mention what the kilowatt on that generator is?
24,
I mean,
and it's an air-cooled unit.
put one at my house.
The conversation is if something happens and it's wintertime, it will run the welder, but compressor have to be offline during that.
From my experience, it's pretty good value on that size of a generator.
It is,
I would move to approve.
Second.
okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
And approval to open a PO for purchase of generator. Approved to purchase, opening a PO to purchase a generator for replacement from Mid-Ohio at the cost of $13,000 with the contract for PM at the cost of $300 a year.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Mike, you're up, zoning.
Just want to give an update on a few things going on. Right now, we are at 50 permits for the year as opposed to 44 last year. 2 violations of businesses operating in residential area. I want to update that. I don't know if all you guys realized that NEF went through on 7/21. The BZA denied the administrative appeal and reactivated the cease and desist order on the property on Center Village Road. They did recognize that the owner has some right to a non-conforming use and put guidelines in place for what activities were approved on the property. Dump truck activity was specifically forbidden. And at the BZA meeting on 8/18 this past Monday, NEF submitted an application for a substitution of non-conforming use. I talked with Corey about this because he put me on an email train with the lawyer he's using, Jeff Sharp. And he said that they're going to go ahead and set up a court date in Delaware County in case the outcome isn't what they like at the BZA meeting when they have it the next time. So whether he is or not, Corey's not sure if he's just trying to say that because clearly that's a threat that he's going to sue us, but that's where we stand on that. So we'll see what happens with that and what the BZA does with that. On Kaposia, they have a meeting scheduled with the zoning commission on 8/8 yet. Scott Messer's going to bring in to submit his plan to me on 8/2, Mike. I don't know if I put you on that email. He's going to give me the plan so I can get it out to you guys earlier. Right?
I'm sorry.
That's all right, Mike. I'll get with you. Yeah, I saw you were writing over there. 6 nuisance properties are for junk cars, discarded debris and trash. We currently have 4 properties that I'm still working with. Just real quick, I issued a letter of violation for trash and noxious weeds on a Center Village Road property. They have 14 days to comply. I'm issuing a first letter of violation for a house on Miller Paul, which I've been working with for a while. The Kaiser property on Harlem Road that was unowned and we couldn't do anything with, when they came in and submitted to do some zoning changes on the property on the west side of Harlem Road, I got to talk with somebody and put out there that I was looking at seeing if I could do something to get them to clean up the property across the street. That person actually called the daughter of the person who's deceased, the reason that it was unowned. And she called me back and said she apologized to the township. She said her brother lived there and he was salvaging stuff and he had trashed it out. She did not realize that. And she committed to me that they were going to get that cleaned up as quickly as possible. And then they were probably going to sell that property. So there's another problem that could be fixed. The Hatch Road property this morning, and Dave, I don't know if you got the, I went down and met with them this morning and they were cleaning it up. And what that was just a continuance of what the health department started. They got a ruling where they were allowed to clean up the property. Now, they went down there and they had Donnie Justice, I think that's his name. Donnie. And he was cleaning up the property down there with a grabbing backhoe, and he had it all stacked up. By 2 o'clock, I went back by there. A lot of it was cleaned up next to the dumpster, but they're going to get that property cleaned up. I don't know how long he stayed down there tonight, but when I was talking with the realtor that was down there, Chip Carpenter, he said that he's going to go back to the court of common pleas and see if he can tear that house down. Because he doesn't feel that it's safe to go in and clean that house out, and he says it really just needs to come down. He felt that he had a good possibility of getting them to allow him to, and then we're gonna tear it down, then they're gonna auction the property off. I went over and talked to the neighbor that's been the main one that's been enduring the issues over there, and she was very happy, and her husband very happy, and so, and it's funny because today was the day I was coming into you guys and say, I need this much money to clean that property up. And then Dave calls me this morning, first thing, says, hey, there's somebody down there cleaning the property up. So that's great. So let you know that. I think you guys know, but currently the zoning commission's working on 2 PDAs possibly. Right now, the Neff property is still in there. I don't know what they're going to do, whether they're going to try to come back if they don't get through the BZA before they sue us. But they're probably going to come back through the zoning commission, but I haven't heard anything from them yet. They're also currently working on the Capocio, which I reviewed. They still got, they've got the 5 lots that they were working through. I went to the last Delaware County Regional Planning Commission and they approved those. So everything's going through on that note. And then the Board of Zoning Appeals has got the one substitution of non-conforming use for the Neff property to go through. And I don't have anything else coming their way right now. The last thing I have is, and I know we talked about it for the last few months. I'd like to get an approval to contract with iWork for rezoning permit enforcement use. Tomorrow, the offer runs out where he gave us those discounted numbers. Now, we could probably continue on like we are, and I have no problem doing that. But I think eventually, especially if we do get sewer in here and everything else, we're going to need to have something in there so we can possibly get all the past zonings in there, because I do get calls on that stuff, and I've got to go through and look through boxes and boxes and boxes of old zoning, and we can get that put in as we go. But it would also help the maintenance department because they would be able to do their few permits that they have, and they can also, it also tracks any problem issues, nuisance properties, anything like that, and it's going to keep it live for us. So I think it's something that I think would be great. It's going to be up to you guys. Either way, it doesn't matter, but it'll make it a lot more efficient. It's not an issue right now, but it'll make it a lot more efficient.
Is there money in your budget for this?
Oh yeah. I don't spend any money, Dave.
Okay.
I don't even drive the car half the time. I drive my truck.
Dylan?
So have you talked to Lisa about this?
No.
I think until you've talked to Lisa and gotten clarity on whether or not there actually is money in your budget, that it would be premature for us to vote on a resolution in this regard.
Okay, even if there's money in the budget, we're going to cover that.
We actually checked today and there is not money in the budget specifically for this.
No, you're right. It's not specifically for this.
And that's the issue. And she cut me, so I'm at fault too here. Because I put down, hey, can we spend $7,500 on crowd communications without checking with her to see if there's budgeted money to that end. And so she called me on it. And
Well, I got to certify the funds
that's right.
before we can spend it.
Yeah. So there's a process here that we need to go through. I
think
didn't
that's
go
great.
through it.
Why didn't somebody just call me and say, Mike, before we get to the
Because
meeting and you waste
we
your
just
time?
figured it out late this afternoon.
Is it possible that
But I did look, Mike.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'm glad you did.
after work.
I'm glad.
Even though nobody contacted me, I did look.
But-
And we do have it.
Well, there you go.
But it wasn't in the budget and it wasn't the process that we need to start doing.
Yeah.
Being
So it's just a
organized.
lesson for us to be careful about our processes. That we are communicating with the fiscal officer.
Well,
are we on or we off?
Off for now. I think.
I would defer to Lisa. So I mean,
Yeah.
Lisa,
What's
if,
your call?
are,
Lisa?
are we in a position where we can pass a resolution to spend the money on this tonight?
I have looked, we do have the funds, but there are certain things that we need to start doing instead of just coming to a meeting.
Yeah. As John would say, copy.
Correct.
So I get that. I guess.
So
this-
I will need a
since it's on-
W-9. We cannot sign a contract until I get a W-9, then I can let you know when you can sign the contract.
Mhm.
And then I will need a copy of the contract for the audit.
So the one thing I'm sensitive to is the timetable that we have from the vendor of
Yeah.
giving us the rate, and I think we all want that. So I guess, like, I don't think the board has any issue approving it. I think we may need to make sure that we do the fiscal due diligence of, whatever Lisa needs to do. So I wonder if the vendor will take a verbal agreement or say, hey, can you give us another month to get the paperwork to you? I need a W-9 anyway.
Can ask them.
So like, I think we're on board. I'm not speaking for them, I'm speaking for
Yeah.
myself, because we
Yeah,
have
not
talked
against
about
it.
it.
Think
Yeah.
it's-
Not against it at all. And I think that it is great value again for
I
the
think it'd
program
be a
that you
great
get.
asset to have it for.
Well, I think it would be for you guys, especially when I go.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, I'd like to get you guys set up, but I guess it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. what I want to avoid is getting into a meeting and asking Lisa in the middle of a meeting, hey, do we have money for this?
Right.
And that's not fair to her. And so it's just an opportunity. I learned a lesson today and for us in our processes. That's all. I'm all for it.
Yeah, just email me and simply ask, hey, I want to do this. Do we have the funds? Here's about what it's going to cost. When you get a quote, email it to me. When you get a W-9, email it to me. And then we're all set for the meetings. It's pretty simple.
See, you said it. Copy.
Copy.
Think about delaying this then.
No, I think we're gonna, so we can vote on this.
Yes.
Okay.
You just can't sign the contract.
Right.
Till we get a W-9, open up a PO.
Contract signed,
Well,
thanks.
We'll pass, yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve a contract with iWork for zoning permit and enforcement. $5,500 initial costs and then for the first year, and then $4,500 annually, authorizing Dave Jackson to sign on the behalf of the trustees.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you,
Anything
Mike.
else?
All right. No, I'm gonna yield the rest of my time to Dave.
All right, Dave?
Dave Snyder, Beagleheimer Road. So first, in light of information that was discussed earlier concerning things like work being proposed out at Barnhout Edition, I'd like to table the information that I was going to be presenting regarding additional work in the cemetery that America 250 would like to do. We can talk about this later. I think it's be really helpful for me to get a little more information so I don't sound so off the wall on this. Okay, but second, just to keep everybody posted. America 250 Ohio, Delaware County has announced that November 5th, they are going to host a grand event, details forthcoming, especially focused on recognition of Revolutionary War veterans' graves here in Delaware County. And Harlem Township is going to be fully much involved and engaged with this as we go forward, and I'll keep you posted on this.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other public, got any comments? Joni?
As you know, Harlem Township Day was on Saturday. It was successful in spite of the heat. I would like to thank the fire department for their participation. Even though you had a really busy day, you still came back and participated when you could. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I wanted to thank the maintenance department as well. They did a great job of clearing the grass and weeds and mowing things and straightening out the parking lot gravels and stuff. They did a great job. So thank you to Jason and his crew. And one other thing, Smoky Bones has offered to do a fundraiser for Harlem Township Heritage. If you go and eat on Tuesday, August 26th, between 5 and 9, and show them one of those forms that's on the table over there, they will donate 20% of your meal to Harlem Township Heritage. So we would appreciate everybody's participation. Thank you.
Anything else? Yeah, Health Department. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm Lauren Robinson from the Health District. We just have a couple of announcements today to share with you. Last year we did a free tire disposal drive. We're hosting another one this year. It was very popular last year, so you can bring up to 10 passenger tires on October 18th, the Saturday in the morning, at Delaware County Fairgrounds. So I have some flyers out there on your way out if you need some more information about that. And we also have a loan out program that we just started. If you're hosting any events and things that you need, a hand sanitizer station, litter grabber, hand washing station, recycling receptacles, and hand washing training kit. So for any of your future events, if you need to loan those out, it's on our website. Any questions for me?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Gentlemen, you have any?
There's no further business. I move to adjourn at 8:15 PM.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Got some housekeeping here. Say, I need.
Hey, Mike. I have a question for you.
Second or whatever.
Okay.